When I was a kid, I wasn't really into sports. I was always racing BMX bikes and more of an outsider, more interested in just hanging out with my buddies. I'm kind of more of an extremist as opposed to group sports. Group sports were never my thing, but I like being outside, athletic, and adventurous. I've always been into more risk-taking activities. I like racing motorcycles, dirt bikes, a lot of motocross, BMX, anything, snowboarding, just to go as fast as I can and go off the biggest jumps I can and just kind of have that feeling of freedom and flying through the air. Well, when I was a kid, I did quite a bit of martial arts. I tried karate a few times, and I would always wind up quitting. I could never stick with it. I would get really bored by the katas. I think the movie Bloodsport influenced me quite a bit. I think most fighters feel that way. When I saw that as a kid, that's what I wanted to do. And when I was a kid, nothing even slightly emulated that. I mean, karate was just all these katas, and that was all I had. And I also had a limited income. You know, I didn't have an income whatsoever, so whatever I could get into, I had to pay for myself, so I would have to rob, cheat, and steal to get to places where I wanted, because at the time I didn't know any better anyways. I got into MMA around 2003. I was actually starting to get really heavily into bodybuilding, and by that time I was weighing about 240 pounds and my joints started to really break down, and I needed something else. And I just really started watching MMA, and it actually started to get bit by the bug when I had seen it so much. My buddy introduced me to Brazilian Jiu-jitsu. So I started training Jiu-jitsu in 2003, and from there I moved to Vegas because I wanted to meet up with John Lewis. I knew John Lewis was working with Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, BJ Penn, Randy Couture, a lot of great fighters, and I thought he was the man to see, so I went to Vegas in 2003 to meet John Lewis. At that time, I was barely training. I could only train a few times, but all I knew was I wanted to fight. I've always wanted to be a fighter before I wanted to even train. I wanted to reap all the rewards without the hard work. I thought that at that level I could just step in and just fight people, and it is what it was. I didn't realize the amount of hard work and dedication it really took. That's a tough question of why I wanted to fight. I think the only reason I've ever wanted to fight is because it's the only thing that I could feel self-pride for. Anything else in life, it doesn't give me the self-pride I get from fighting. Whenever the accomplishment I feel from fighting, I get from nothing else, for sure. My very first fight was like an exhibition fight. And this was before they even had amateurs and things like that. It was in Arizona. And I was going to fight a guy who was the Arizona State Wrestling Champ. And I had no idea. The promoter never told me that. I took the fight on 2 days' notice. I had a bunch of buddies in Vegas from out of town in Philadelphia. And we just all hopped in the car and drove out to Arizona for this fight. We were partying the whole time. I didn't know any better. I just wanted to go there and fight. I didn't care about winning, losing. All I wanted to do was fight. All my trainers told me that this is a serious thing, that I needed to take it seriously, but like a young fool, I just wanted to go fight. So I went there. Believe it or not, my nerves weren't even that bad. I knew I was just going to get in there and bang with this guy anyway. I didn't care. So I went there, I fought him, and I lost a unanimous decision because his wrestling really destroyed me. But I was happy. To me, it was still a win. I got fight of the night. I finished the fight on top in the mount, pounded him out, and if we went to another round, I feel as if it would have been my fight. I would have beaten him. So to me, it was all about me. I didn't care about anything else but the way I felt, and to me, it was definitely a victory that day. So that's what got me into that's what even hooked me more into fighting, because I thought, wow, this guy was an Arizona State champion wrestler. I took him to a decision, and I had literally been training for a few months. I had no prior training in anything, so I felt good. There really wasn't anybody making much money in fighting, so it was taking a big risk for me. But I just didn't really care that much about the money, and I just did it for me. Like I said, it wasn't about records, it wasn't about making it here or there. It was just something that I had to do, and I had to do it then. I still can't explain why I had to do it, and to this day, I'm even more hooked and sunk down into the jiu-jitsu world, and something I just can't stop. It's not a lucrative thing, it's just something for me. I actually had my last fight in 2009, and I have not fought since then. The truth is, I kind of lost the desire and drive for MMA. I find MMA now to be too mainstream. I find it to be everywhere, and I find it to be now the thing to do. I mean, there's so many MMA fighters, and MMA, it's gotten so advanced. I really feel as if to be a strong force in MMA, you need to be great at everything. I don't think enough people realize this, how much work it really takes. So I've actually went and geared myself 100% into jiu-jitsu just for the simple fact that I've just fallen in love with it. I love the technique, the training, and I spend every day learning, practicing, and teaching jiu-jitsu. I've never been happier. I would say my friends would describe me as a nice guy, but a wild guy. I always like to push the limits and have fun and just kind of be as wild as possible. I think we as people follow society's rules constantly, and I think a lot of society is this made-up nonsense of a box that we're all supposed to live in that I just don't quite understand. And I've never have since I was a little kid. So I kind of live by my own rules. You know, I think that everyone's different, and everyone's on this earth for certain purposes to do certain things. I think my purpose is I'm a natural-born warrior, an adventurist. I never want to do the normal stuff. I like doing the wild out there stuff. So for me, fighting is all I know. I don't know how to not fight. And every day of my life, I fight the system. I fight everything. I question. I think outside the box. And I feel as if that's the person I am. Most people aren't. Most people are going to follow and go with what they're told. And that's why most people don't fight. For them, a lot of them look at fighting as a crazy thing. To me, it doesn't seem that crazy. It seems crazy to me to not fight. It seems crazy to go to work every day. That to me is, I couldn't do it. I could never do it. I think the number one reason I like to fight is just to this day, just to prove it to myself that I can. It's always a challenge. And it's not a challenge against the guy I'm fighting, it's a challenge against me. I heard the other day someone say, you'll find 100 reasons why you should quit during the fight. And it's true. I mean, I find 100 reasons why I should stay in bed today. I find 100 reasons why I should lay on the mat a little longer and rest. And you got to find for yourself those little tiny ones of why to keep going. And that's what makes the difference between a champion and this next guy.